All I'll say, though, real quick, as a closing statement, all I'll say is I'm really looking forward to becoming a high level in the arena so I can see that stupid little guy that follows you around. Do you remember that, Deg? Did you ever do the arena where there's a guy who approaches you? There's a guy who approaches you and he's like, I'm your biggest fan. And he's been memed.
He's such a
significant
cunt,
dude.
Like...
He is the biggest character possibly in any video game ever. He's so annoying, and I'm looking forward to seeing that guy's stupid little face.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Grass Touchers, the show where the three of us pals talk about what we've been playing lately, and old games that are new again, and how little time we have for video games, but we're enjoying them anyway. I am Jake.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Greg.
I gotta say, it's going to be a good one this time.
Whoa.
Guys, listen. Unlike any other episode, it's going to be incredible because we're taking it back to the 2000s here, the early 2000s. And we're going to be talking about Oblivion, the remaster that dropped. Jared, kick us off, brother.
Yeah, Oblivion came out a quote-unquote shadow drop, right? That was kind of how it went down, except it got leaked or hacked or whatever. But, I think that's a little bit of guerrilla marketing.
Agreed.
Could be.
I think it usually is. I think a lot of these places, I don't think anybody's willing to risk their job for like a 4-day head start, like telling, you know what I mean? Like it just seems unlikely to me, but whatever. I don't care about the intentions. Yeah, dude, got it. It's on Game Pass for the record. I downloaded it. What was essentially for free. Of course, I do have Game Pass, and I find my little ways to get Game Pass without paying the full price. But I haven't played this game in a long time, but it is a game that I probably sunk. How many hours do we have in, how many hours do you have in Siege, Jake? Like 1,200 or something?
I have, probably like 1,200 on PC alone, probably.
Right. I probably put around there on Oblivion. It was like a huge game for me.
Dang, son.
When I got the 360, it was like, partially was like so I could play this game. I had Morrowind for the original Xbox, and it's a game that blew my mind. It was like I just couldn't believe the freedom and a game that kind of like puts you in this world, and then it literally tells you, hey, you can do whatever you want. We're not going to tell you what to do. You can do the main quest, but you can not. You can go jump in the water over there and swim around and get killed by a giant crab if you want to.
Such a big deal when it came out. That was such an uncharted territory of game design.
Right. And I put a ton of hours into it. Loved it. I fired it up last night, played a little bit. I kind of had a headache. I just moved yesterday, destroyed my body, and my mind followed shortly thereafter. I went quite mad.
You finally moved. He finally did it, ladies and gentlemen. He lives in Antarctica now. He got tired of
Antarctica.
Tucson, tired of living in Arizona.
Right.
Just a great big old overcorrection from Tucson.
Yeah. I got sick of the heat, so I finally did the Jared thing to do, which is to move to the coldest place on planet Earth. And I'm here, and I'm loving it. And I'm naked. And I'm covered in. Jake and Deg are having to look at me right now. I'm completely covered in edible food paints. So
That's right.
but I'm loving
his
it.
own little Bonnaroo down there in Antarctica.
Yeah, the internet is still better than Jake's.
It probably is, dude.
They got friggin' Emperor Penguin Spectrum down there.
Yeah. I got a bunch of walruses hooked up to a giant wheel that are powering everything. It's pretty cool.
It's just a relay of various sea creatures calling back to the mainland. And somehow it's better than Spectrum in North Carolina.
But no, yeah, fired up, and I got into it mostly today. I killed a couple of rats last night, and then I died to a zombie. I picked the second to hardest difficulty because I find typically with video games when I pick the hardest difficulty, the devs were like, "Hey, let's do a difficulty that's like just really punishes them." It's like that's not the experience I want. Even when I'm really good with a game or have played a lot of it, I'd like a challenging experience, but I don't want it to be like this is not fun, which is usually what the hardest difficulty is. So I went with that, and got killed by a zombie last night. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is pretty hard actually." I went with the Breton class, which is the magic, the straight magic build.
Cool.
Which back in the day I would also do that. I would go for conjuring, try to get conjuring way up so I could summon things. That was like a very enjoyable aspect for me as a kid. But then I went to the arena and I ranked up in the arena, and then I got my cheeks clapped in the arena, and so I was like, cool, all right, I hit my limit here for now. I think I need to go get a little stronger. I joined the Mages Guild. I made here. I'll send you guys a photo of my character. I took a photo just so you guys could kind of partake in the journey with me for a moment.
I will absolutely use this in the Instagram post for this episode.
Oh, good. I want you to. I'm going to drop it in the pod chat because that one is less. There's that butthole thing you showed us from season. Good. All right, there we go. Sorry, I had to use my phone. I took the picture. Did it show up? Or
check this guy out.
Yeah, so that's Smallsy as Sticky is.
Smallsy as Sticky.
I'm having a great time with this game, dude. I'm really excited because I've played a lot of remastered things and games from my youth, and you turn it on and you go, yeah, cool, wow, this is dated. Not even graphically. Mechanically, this is dated. And
that is, and I'm sure you're both going to talk about this because you both got it. But when we get into that as a segment, kind of whole hog, I have so many questions because that's the whole cranked hog, brother. That's the thing, right? Is like you can make it look prettier, but is that gameplay dated by today's standards, or does it hold up because it's this legendary game? I don't know. Depends. And I suppose your mileage may vary, but
yeah, and I'm actually a little surprised. I think Deg, you proposed a certain segment, and I won't get into it yet. But if we do talk about that, I do have some interesting points, I think. But for some reason, I'm feeling very immune to that right now. I'm right on the line of like, this is a game I used to love, and I also want to play this. Like, I'm excited to play more. So anybody who enjoyed this game back in the day, I would absolutely recommend it. Jake and I talked last night about it briefly too, about like most of the time you find yourself coming back to a game and it's just too soon. And I think this one's been long enough where it's like, nice. I'm excited to play this game again. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Deg.
Agreed.
Breaker of Vows.
Breaker of Vows.
Of Oaths.
Hero of Kvatch.
No, dude, I'm the hero of Kvatch.
Yeah, you're the hero of Kvatch, sorry. I was not playing. I've been doing really well with my New Year's Degolution or Degolution. We haven't decided yet, ladies and gentlemen. It's either Degolution or Degolution. Maybe we should put that as a voting option.
Leave a comment. Let us know.
Vote, please.
Vote now on your phones.
It's tearing the podcast apart.
Again, I did not know they were going to shadow drop this game. This, we've done a couple things where we've talked about our favorite games, right? And I've never really mentioned Oblivion because so many people, we've just been Skyrim'd to death, which we have talked about. Yeah. And I had such a blast with Skyrim and with Morrowind. Morrowind was my first, just like Jared. I never played Daggerfall or Arena, which Arena was the first one. But Oblivion, my brother and I played to death, dude. And it was so much fun. But that game really is so dated if you actually go back and look at the original, photos. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember the magazine Game Informer?
Shoot, yeah.
Do you remember the Oblivion issue of Game Informer? And it looked... I remember when that magazine came out, I was like, this looks like real life. Like this,
video games will never
be better than this. There's no way. It's like when Crysis came out, and it actually still has the best graphics around.
You know what I thought about when I saw that? You know what I thought about when I saw that issue and I saw the game and I saw the full layout that they did in that? I thought, I'm not gonna get to play this game because it was like, this looks so expensive. It looked so cool and so like ahead of its time and too good to be true almost.
Yes,
as a kid, when you can't control what you get, you can only ask your parents for things, and you know they're going to say no.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember just being like, this looks amazing, and I'm not going to play it.
And I'm going to play it when I'm 35.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I remember that was my first. I remember like my neighbor getting Game Informer. And that he got that issue, and I was like, "This is unbelievable." So we played a lot of Oblivion, my brother and I, and on 360. Anyway, so I got it, and it is. My take is that it is the same exact game because the engine, the creation engine that it's based on, it feels exactly like the original. Like the control, the way that the controller feels, and in terms of even the sensitivity of everything, and the way that combat. I think combat feels slightly different because it's so much better graphically, and there's like blood and sparks will fly when swords hit and all that stuff. There's a lot more graphically that's happening that I think does change the way combat feels. But it still feels like Oblivion. It very clearly does not feel like Skyrim. Like, I will definitely say that. It does not feel like Skyrim. It feels like Oblivion. The graphics are, I would say, 95% shockingly good. 5% I'm not impressed.
Interesting.
And what I mean by that is, like, the starting area, like the tutorial and, like, the starting thing. And Jake, did you play Oblivion?
Not enough to speak on it very intelligently.
Okay, well, so the opening scene where you're like in the dungeon and you pick your class and all that graphically looks incredible. I mean, it looks so good, and I am running on.
I imagine they would
Ultra.
I imagine they'd spend a lot of time on that intro sequence so that they can lock you in, and they're going to make sure that looks really good.
Yes, and I'm playing on all Ultra, and I was getting in that intro sequence. I was getting like 160 frames per second, which is great. Nice. And then you step outside, and the foliage and the world looks incredible. It's like mind blowing. It's really, really good. There's a lot of pop in. Every time I load into a zone, I get a lot of terrain pop in. Even running on all Ultra, I don't know if there's a way to combat that. But I'm kind of.
Is there a slider in the settings for draw distance?
I think maybe, and I need to check that, but.
Yeah, it'll probably cost you a few frames, but that's probably the slider you're looking for if you want to try to do something about pop-in.
Yeah. The thing I've been unimpressed by graphically are the towns. The towns look obviously updated and new, but they don't look like they got the same detail graphically as the world did, if that makes any sense. Like the world, there's way more foliage. Like I don't know, Jared, if you agree, but like it just feels like the hills, the rolling hillsides, and there's more trees and limbs and grass and rocks and roots and all that stuff. But then you go to like Cheydinhall, which was always my favorite town. It's got purple roofs. It's very unique looking. All the roofs of all that, all the homes are purple. And I'm like, this looks great, and it obviously looks like a game that was built in 2025. But it's not. It just wasn't as impressive as the opening sequence graphically, which I was like, "Holy, this looks really good."
Are the towns and sort of streets and buildings and stuff like geometrically and like if you were to look at it on a mini map, like identical to the first game or to the original?
Yeah, it's the exact same.
Because it makes me think. I had that thought when is it Cyrodiil? Is that the name of the whole realm, or is that the name of the town?
Cyrodiil is the name of the whole region. Yeah.
Okay, because there's like a capital city or something.
Imperial City.
I saw some Imperial City that I saw some footage of. Because I did watch the 20-minute like, hey, this game is out now video, and it occurred to me that the streets are really wide, and the buildings are just sort of like flat and tall. Because that's how I remember them, and it's not like they added in. Shop stalls and stuff and more like decoration or more stuff going on. They really did leave it as it was then, but with updated textures and lighting and stuff. So
yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, yes.
Yeah, it seems like, because nobody's going to boot up Oblivion Remastered and go, oh, look, it's my favorite rock. I remember that rock was always there from the beginning. But people do remember the towns, and they remember the layout, and they remember where so-and-so's house is, and they remember where the blacksmith is, or they remember whatever. So they couldn't really change, at least I'm thinking from a design perspective, they probably didn't want to change the layout or design of the towns or add too much to make it unrecognizable or hard to navigate. They wanted to leave that the same. Whereas out in the wild, in the sort of nature or part of it, they could go wild, right? Because nobody's going to care if there's more trees or more beautiful trees or this rock moved or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. I think that you put it better than I did. I think also part of what contributes to it, and Jared, you may disagree with Jake. Did you play Skyrim more, Jake?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Skyrim, in my opinion, I like Oblivion more than I like Skyrim. I have more memories of like fond memories of Oblivion than Skyrim, but I think the individual towns in Skyrim are more unique town to town than they are in Oblivion, right? Like, I don't think, for example, Skimgrad looks that different from, Cheydinhall, other than the color of the roofs, right? Like, okay. Oblivion just in general kind of has this, like, chivalry, Middle Ages, knight aesthetic, very regal. And so all the towns, other than like Anvil, which is like the coastal town, I think, all kind of have that look, right? Okay. And Bruma obviously looks like Skyrim because it borders Skyrim, right? It looks like a town from Skyrim. But that was just kind of my take graphically. It looks really good. The combat looks beautiful. Cool. I've enjoyed what I've played so far, which is like hour and 45 minutes, and boys, I just have to say this. My birthday is Friday. And my wife asked what I wanted for my birthday.
And you said, nothing, honey. I already bought myself Oblivion Remaster.
I said, baby, I don't want a dang thing. However, Saturday, could I feasibly be left alone for the entire day? I said, can I, just for one day, pretend like you and Bodhi don't exist? And I was being sort of tongue-in-cheek, obviously. Yeah. But I was like, but I basically was like, can I just, like, hang out and, like, play video games in my underwear? And, like, if you really need me to help you, I will. But, like...
Yeah, if there's an emergency. Yeah. Give me a bucket and give me some Slim Jims or whatever you're eating these days.
Bucket of Slim Jims.
Just the trash food. I don't know. We've talked about this before, but for me, it was like Mountain Dew Code Red that Vault energy soda. They were like go-to gamer snacks, gamer drink.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so I basically was like, hey, can I just play Oblivion like all day? And she was like, okay, that sounds reasonable. And I was like,
hey, save us some money. I guess that's fine. Yeah, why
not? I can't really, even if we went out to eat, I wouldn't be able to eat much right now. So I don't want to go out to eat. I don't want to.
Some guys say I want to go play golf with my buddies. Some guys say, lots of other. This is totally normal. Yeah. I dig that. That's very cool.
And it's not like Oblivion costs us a bunch of money. I do that. My wife and I are doing that thing where, which Jake gave me the idea for, which is set aside a certain amount that each of you are allowed to spend without, questioning the other.
Yeah.
And so we determined in our budget for the month what that number was, and Oblivion fell within that number.
All right, there it is.
Right there it is. It's in the budget, baby. It says right there, discretionary spending.
That's right.
Nice. And so, anyways, now I've had a blast, and I obviously have some opinions about some of the questions Jake has, but I definitely think that it has exceeded my expectations so far. My big takeaway is that it is the same game. It just looks completely different. Like, it feels like the same game. It just looks completely different. So
that's sick. I'm so excited, vicariously. I love that you guys are gonna embark on the Oblivion Remastered thing. I did not play very much of that. I think I borrowed it from a buddy or rented it or something and didn't get very far. Skyrim and Fallout 3 were the sort of Bethesda games that were formative for me. I think when Oblivion came out, I was busy playing Mass Effect and Gears of War and Red Faction Guerrilla, and some other 360 titles at the time. I've just been playing Siege. I'm somewhat frustrated by it right this moment because last night me and Jared could not break out of this streak of like dog water teammates and actual children, and
we played with Beetlejuice though. We get into a match and this kid's all,
like, man, I was in game chat. I was in game chat. I was talking.
And we're like,
I don't understand how any. This is not the first time that I've overheard someone else in game chat reference some other chat mechanism, and I don't understand how anybody does anything other than the built-in game chat of the game you're playing or Discord. You're on a computer, probably. What else would you be using? I don't understand. But I guess some people have, like, what did he say, iMessage or something? Or, like, FaceTime or Snapchat was this one kid said one time. He was like, get on Snap. He was talking to somebody else, I think, in the game. He was like, get on Snap. I'm like, how are you? I don't understand. And so we also had, and this is my first segment, although it will be short because it more so applies to me and Jared's experience the other day. Siege is... I'm not like falling out of love with it. I'm still watching videos. I'm trying to get good. I think it's our kind of go-to like group game right now. But the matchmaking has been tragic lately. What you missed out on, Deg, last night, don't feel too bad, was we got matched with people that may very well have been ranked like champion or emerald or something, like something really, really high. And the only reason I say that is one of our teammates was like, well, no. We should surrender. These guys are nutty. I think they're in champion. And I was like, no. They're in bronze like the rest of us. Like, play the game. It's fine. And then they proceeded to spank us 0-4, like, really handily on Outback. And I was like, okay, maybe these guys are kind of good. Like,
was it like nutty, big brain, Macy J stuff?
It wasn't big brain, high IQ. I watched all the videos type stuff.
It was Siege IQ.
It was Siege IQ specifically, and it was like, you know, they know spots that we don't know. I'll tell you one thing. They were playing hyper-aggressive Naked Chimp style, so much so that one time I got I put down 2 claymores on Outback. You know those windows people like to jump out? I put down 2 claymores and then got shot and killed. And I got posthumous kills with both of those claymores because they would not stop running out. They were just ferocious, just so horny for the kills.
It was like 5-on-1 at that point.
Yeah, and it was 5-on-1, right. And it was kind of stupid for them to have done that, but they weren't. So that's why I say it wasn't smart stuff. They weren't playing patiently, as is our play style, right? It's chess, slow down. This is how you win. They were ferocious, and that's cool, or whatever. But I'm not really interested in being put up against somebody who plays that way, and I'm wondering, what am I supposed to do to get over this hump? Because I have a feeling that if we can get out of like bronze, silver territory, there comes a point where it's less about gun skill, although gun skill is never not a thing, and it's more about big brain stuff or new strats or synergies and maybe some patient attack style that I've just never seen before, or I don't know, something. I want to see people play smart, because that's why I like the game, is because if you're smart, things happen that benefit you, you know? So yeah, the matchmaking, I looked it up on an R6 tracker after the fact, and it does this weird thing where if somebody is a console player and you've been matched against them, in the game, when you hold tab to look at the scoreboard, it has the little Ubisoft logo. So all you know is they're using a Uplay account, which, duh, of course they are. It doesn't really indicate whether it's crossplay action that you're embarking on or not. Sometimes you can tell if you watch your kill cam that somebody seems to have a controller or seems to have mouse and keyboard, but not always. And then when you go to R6 Tracker and you click their profile, it will load up their Xbox or PlayStation like profile, rather than a Steam-based profile, because there's a little icon that tells you. And yeah, supposedly, we may very well have been matched up against champ players. So on my end, when I look at my profile and matches I just played, it shows bronze, or it shows copper, or it shows silver. But when I click their profile, it says, oh yeah, they're currently ranked emerald, and they were champion last season, or whatever. So I think that's pretty gay. I'm not a huge fan of matchmaking being that off. Like, that makes no sense to me. This game has tens of thousands of people in our rank specifically. I've seen the chart on R6 Tracker of how many people are in bronze, how many people are in copper, how many people are in silver. We should have no problem finding matches that make sense, that are, not a total coin flip. I'm sure one team's going to be better than the other, but like closer than this, and it's just like such a pain because I just kind of want it to be over. I end up picking some operator that I don't normally play just to see how it works. And like, there's space for that in Siege. I guess that's okay, but I don't know. It was kind of lame. And I remember last night I said to Jared, I was like, all right, I'm ready for Dune Awakening to come out. Like this, I might need a break from this kind of soon. This is...
But the rank adjustments, there's absolutely nothing going on the back end that is predictive or like... there's nothing variable to increase or decrease your rank in a way that makes sense to put people in the right place. We can win a game in a complete shutout. Cool. Plus 24 rank points. We can lose a game. We can lose a game because two of our teammates quit. Rank 20 minus 24 rank points. It's like it's all completely linear in a way that's totally unintuitive, and it feels like the game's not trying to put me where I'm supposed to be. It feels like it's trying to punish me for playing the game.
Yes, exactly.
It's very annoying.
And I think that's watching your point. I wish the points thing was more hidden almost, or they didn't put a hard and fast number on it, because it just makes me want to argue with the system, which of course I can't change. Right. On Outback, it actually, I misspoke earlier. I guess it was overtime. It was 4-5 when we lost. I top fragged and what?
I was gonna say, you're thinking of the match we played over the weekend, where we played against those guys who were. It was like there was not a single thing we could do. We were all outside of on the outside of Outback trying to find a vector to get in, and they were just like, they would punch out a window and just like boop, and we were dead. Like it was, I was walking towards a window one time, and Legion just comes over and just punched that like it's like he's played that spot 1,000 times, and he like is like listening for.
I think he's got his headphones to 11 and just like he knows.
Those guys were psychos.
Yeah, you're correct. I just looked. I just scrolled further back in Outback 2 days ago, 0-4. Yeah. It was, to give you an idea, I had 4 kills. Not that kills are everything. We've been over this. I had 4 kills. Some stranger under me had 3. Nobody else had any kills, and then their team had like 6, 4, 2, 1. And some of these guys. This is what I'm saying about the ranked points. They spanked us 4-0, right? Sure. Mm-hmm. Here's how many ranked points each of them got. 27, 27, 28, 37, 112.
Right.
Some guy
they're boosting
beat us 0-4. Exactly. Some guy with probably a brand new account, but then I click his profile, and it does that thing where it's an Xbox profile, and it says, as of right now, he's in Diamond. And he's been in champion ranks like 6 or 7 times before. 8 times before. What? So I just don't understand how this like slips through the cracks. Or maybe what I want is for R6 Tracker to just be wrong, like their API is messed up. But it's kind of obvious to me that people are getting boosted, and that sucks. And I think people are just that lame, and I should be less surprised by it.
You know what I would also prefer is for our teammates to not jump into R6 Tracker as soon as the match starts. Literally, the guy on our team, we lost the first round, and the guy goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm looking at them." Like he's just pissing his pants immediately.
Yeah,
I was like,
he was
don't presenting his butthole to these guys immediately. I was like, what is
Don't
wrong
look at
with
it
you?
till after, dude.
Yeah.
Don't do that, because you never know. You never know. He could be, handing his controller over to his older brother, or he could be, you don't know.
Sure.
And a lot of those guys, they play. There's people that are hard stuck in silver. That just play naked chimp style, and if you're patient, they'll be reckless. And we've won matches like that. But anyway, our last match last night was a W on Chalet, and that was pretty radical. We had some sick plays.
A tribute.
There was There was one, oh man, I got to pull it back up now because I might have to show Greg this footage later. There was a match that we played on Chalet. Jared, do you remember there was like 15 seconds left? It was 2 against 4. Me and you against 4 dudes.
Yeah.
And we pushed in. I like droned a little bit, and I was like, we're out of time. We have to go. Go. And I went down blue stairs, and you came down, I think, from fireplace, and we both got 2 kills in the span of like 5 seconds, and we won. Yeah. It was like, is this an actual SWAT team right now? Like, this is incredible. Yeah. It was like so cool that we caught them off guard. And that's the thing, is that if there's a single redeeming moment in any match, I'll be back the next day. Right. Or the next time you guys are on. There's certain moments in that game that are so hard to top. That win on Chalet last night only netted me 19 rank points.
Oh.
The previous 2 matches, I lost 24 and 25.
What?
So,
why?
Whatever. I don't know.
This doesn't make sense, though, because for the listeners, for anybody listening, it doesn't make sense because Jake is usually top fragging on these games. He's playing much better than me.
I do okay.
And I'm ranked way higher than him. But that's what I'm talking about. It's like, it needs to take those things into account, where it's like, you're consistently playing well. It shouldn't even matter if we lose. It should be putting you where you should be. You should be in silver at least, if that's where I am.
Right.
It's very irritating to me that this system hasn't been in place. This game is very not new.
Yeah.
How are they doing this?
I agree. I don't understand how the points are calculated. I want to see that algorithm. I'm sure it's hidden on some server somewhere, but I really want to know, because when we lost on Outback last night, it was 4-5, went overtime, super close, and I lost 24 rank points. And then the following match, it was not close, 1-4 on Nighthaven with Beetlejuice there, and I lost 25. I lost even more rank points.
What?
So, what is that about? And just to be clear, the other team, their overall ranks were higher. They had 2 silver and 3 bronze. Our team had 2 copper, 2 bronze, 1 silver. So, it's not a function of your rank at all. It doesn't say well, they were gold and you lost. That seems to be expected. Here's less of a penalty. It doesn't work that way at all. And then we won, I don't want to say handily, but 4-2 on Chalet, and only gained 19. And you could make an argument about ranks on this one because they had 3 copper and the others were bronze and silver. But I don't know, man. I'm going to stop overanalyzing it, and I'm only going to check R6 tracker well after a session, but it's super lame. And, I legitimately do hope that Dune Awakening rocks my socks off so that I have something to take a break from Siege with. But I'll say, if we don't stay current-ish on Siege, we will have an even worse time. So, you might as well just kind of keep enjoying the good moments and come what may. So, yeah, I've just been playing Siege. Let's move on to just a couple questions about Oblivion. You guys already touched on it, but I want to know, what kind of things did they have to keep in, otherwise it wouldn't be Oblivion? and what things did they keep? And then that makes you go, hell yeah, this is Oblivion still.
The bugs, and they're all still there. And I had a super immersion breaking bug happen in the first 5 minutes of me playing, and Jared's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. But the opening sequence, you get busted out of prison. Sorry, spoiler alert from a 2006 game. And
that happens in the first 5 minutes.
The Emperor is coming out of, you're basically walking with the Emperor through the underground, the sewers under the prison. And occasionally these guys, this cult, the Mythic Dawn cult, they materialize out of thin air and they start attacking the Emperor. And the guards start killing them. Well, I was following them, and the Emperor I think he also fights too, or he at least runs up to him. And I was walking behind him, and he goes and starts fighting in combat, and then breaks out of combat and turns around and looks at me and goes, "We're almost there."
Yeah. It zooms in on his face.
Zooms in on his face. He's like, "We're almost there," and I hear, die! And I'm like, this game is the exact same buggy mess it was in 2006, and I'm here for it. So that was my biggest thing.
If you're endeared to that, then like who cares? That's funny.
Yeah, Jared.
Yeah, I think it's funny because they really did have an opportunity. The download size I was mentioning last night was like 120 gigabytes. It's a pretty sizable game, and I was like, that was the first indicator that I was like, oh wow, this looks like a legit different thing going on here.
It's almost as much as Hunter Call of the Wild.
Almost, which is a huge game, dude, that we all play a lot of. I'm ranked diamond in that game, by the way. Check Call of the Wild online.
Hunter Call of the Wild tracker.
tracker.net.com.ca.ru, and you'll see. But it was an opportunity for them to like you were saying, like kind of Skyrimify it and like just make it a different game and update it for now and probably pick up a new audience for the game, which could still happen with this. But they were extremely faithful to the original, like down to like the shops that are in the city. They have these really boring uniform boards above the doors that are like, the stalwart defender, shield shop, Atherin's staffs, and I did appreciate that because I was like, they could have changed so much about the game, and it would have been largely the same game, but it's sweet that it still feels like the old game.
Cool, yeah.
I think the question was, what could they have done to make it feel like it wasn't that? They could have made the game too good. It's like even like the faces you talk to people and it's like Fallout where it's like you talk to them and it like Deg was saying, like their neck like cranes and they go and you're talking to them and their faces are so dumb and annoying and ugly.
Yeah.
They were dumb and ugly and by today's standards like graphically unsightly, but now they're like graphically tolerable but still just hideous, annoying faces you want to just punch square in the right in the nose. But yeah, it's so weird. It's hard to say that they achieved something by making the game not as good as it could be, but they really did. That's a hard balance to break, especially as close to 20 years later. I'm sure the urge is there to be like, oh, and we can add this and that, and it's like they just didn't do anything like that. It is straight up the same experience. But yeah, and all the bugs are there. I had a bug where I was walking through the tunnels at the beginning of the game, and sometimes the rats would just like not even attack me. They'd just be sitting there. And it's just weird stuff like that where it feels game breaking, but if you played the game and you loved it, you're like, this is very sweet as you tiptoe past these enemies that are supposed to be killing you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool so far.
I feel like it's like you go to your buddy's house and his like 14-year-old golden retriever hovels in the room. You're like, oh, it's our boy,
it's Patches. Hey, buddy,
there's our sweet boy.
Right. He's got a bandage on his eye.
I expect you to act your age. That's fine, but also I love you.
Right,
and you've got
right.
this funny balance that you're striking between familiar bugs actually triggering nostalgia and like there's this homey kind of part of it. But then it's so refreshed and you're like, wait, this is actually sick.
Right.
Like right now, in generally speaking, moment to moment, it's like
right.
refreshed.
And he vomits in your lap,
cool.
and you're like, no.
Oh,
you crazy dog! He did it again. I'll clean it up. That's the same thing. So
how's the leveling? I heard the leveling has been revamped to a degree, and the UI is kind of easier to navigate, to where there is a blend of Oblivion and Skyrim, kind of like leveling or something. What is this all about?
I don't know about that. I've only leveled up once. There does seem to be something that sounds about right. I don't really remember the leveling that much from the original.
Okay.
Anyways,
I remember I think what I read was something about minor skill. This is all Greek to me because I don't know how Oblivion's leveling really worked. I don't think I'd leveled up at all when I played that game. I played it for such a short amount of time. Something about minor skills and not having to like grind in a way that is dissatisfying.
That might be true. I'd have to confirm.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I only played about 2 hours, so.
Yeah.
All I'll say, though, real quick, as a closing statement, all I'll say is I'm really looking forward to becoming a high level in the arena so I can see that stupid little guy that follows you around. Do you remember that, Deg? Did you ever do the arena where there's a guy who approaches you? There's a guy who approaches you and he's like, I'm your biggest fan. And he's been memed.
He's such a
significant
cuck,
dude.
Like...
He is the biggest character possibly in any video game ever. He's so annoying, and I'm looking forward to seeing that guy's stupid little face.
Yeah, awesome. It's good. I'd have to say that I didn't say my class. I'm playing an assassin, a wood elf assassin. So I'm gonna do like the Dark Brotherhood storyline, the Thieves Guild, and all that stuff, and play with the bow and arrow. Bow and arrow is very satisfying in Oblivion and very powerful. Like almost even like the beginner like rusty iron arrows, like the first arrows you get in the game. One shot almost everything.
Like, is it still that? Does it have the same mechanic that I'm familiar with from Skyrim, where like sneak attack, double damage, headshots, or like all that cool stuff?
Yes, at least sneak attacks for sure.
I remember doing a build like that in Skyrim where I can't remember if I was an elf or if I was something else, but I ended up leveling up archery to where critical did like 9 times damage or something,
right.
And then a sneak attack was like. A sneak crit was like 15 times.
That was such a game-breaking build.
And I had like an enchanted bow,
right?
And I was like stealing people's souls into soul gems, and I was like,
I did it with a
you're dead, you're dead, like one-shotting a dragon.
Right,
bye.
Right. That's so funny.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's pivot to our final segment: games that, in our humble, grass-touching opinions, should never be remastered. And I want to caveat that by saying this. Clearly, it is possible to take a quote-unquote old game from 20-some-odd years ago and, like, make it look good. We're not saying, I like my ugly game, leave it alone. I think what we really mean to say is, like, there's something about this game that there's no way to bring it into the 2020s without breaking it. Because it is the gameplay it is, or because it is the thematic material that it is, or because it's, fill in the blank. Or at least that's what I'm thinking of. Would you guys agree? Like, any game can be made to look pretty, but that's not really what we're talking about?
Well, I think it's an important distinction between we have talked about this before many times. The difference between a remake and a remaster. Oblivion is, for all intents and purposes, they labeled it correctly. It's a remaster. They did not rebuild the game engine. Like, it feels like the same game, right? They basically slapped a very nice coat of paint on the game, right? Remake would be like what they did with Final Fantasy VII, which is they made that game as if they were making it in 2020. Right. And so I made the joke in our text chat about they should never remaster Toy Story for Super Nintendo.
Right.
But the joke with that was, like, to me, that's a game that you would never remaster because it was frustrating enough as it is. And my only real, like, fond memories of that game are that I played it after my parents got divorced at my dad's house, and it was super frustrating. And I remember being frustrated with my brother. But that's, other than maybe playing it on deck, that's not a game that, like, I want to see with modern graphics. Like, I just don't have a desire, to see that. I don't know, Jared, Jake?
I think there's games in my gamer lineage that the reason I don't want them remastered is because I have accepted that it is truly impossible and this is going to sound super depressing and jaded, and I really don't mean for it to be, but it's how I feel, okay? It is literally impossible to make me feel the same feeling I did when I played Metroid Prime 2 for the first time. The first time I played that game, I took a game that I had to, like, really psych myself up to play Metroid Prime on the GameCube because I had played the demo in Walmart and gotten scared because space pirates like tripped me out, and I was a young kid and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really intense. I can't believe this is a Nintendo game. And then when the second one came out, I thought I was tough, and it was still kind of spooky, and it still got me a little bit, but it had these really weird like innovations, and Samus was my favorite Smash character, and like I had this, and I had played Metroid Fusion, and I had played Zero Mission, and I was like becoming a Metroid guy. If I had to pick a Nintendo franchise, I'd say that's my favorite. And so that feeling isn't going to come back if they remaster Metroid Prime 2. I know because I played the Metroid Prime remaster on the Switch, and it was very good. It was truly the same game, definitely a remaster, and just, updated with graphics. And I enjoyed it. But I, remembered where all the missile expansions were, and like I didn't feel the same feelings I did when I was a kid. And so if I had to pick games that I think should be left alone and never remastered, it's games that are basically anything that's in like a 4:3 screen ratio and not 16:9, when it was really common to have a CRT television in your living room with your family. I think about Pokemon Stadium. You guys remember when Pokemon Stadium came out?
Yes.
And it was like this incredible new way to interact with the Pokemon universe on the big screen, no longer trapped in the Game Boy. You can invite your buddy over, and you could get that expansion thing where you could pop in your Game Boy cartridge or your Game Boy Advance cartridge, and you could battle with your squad, but on the N64, and it was like, that was incredible. Don't remake that. Don't remaster that. Don't bring me that again, because the magic was in 1999, where it belongs, or whenever that game came out. There's nothing about that can be recreated in 2025, because that connection that was forged between Game Boy and big screen, you can't remake that, So it's like the mechanics or the premise of the game that you kind of just have to leave it alone, because I don't think you can really recapture that, But what do you think, Jared?
Yeah, I think I feel mostly the same. What I want to see less of definitely is remastering games that came out on a generation 1 or 2 generations ago. They've remastered The Last of Us like 4 times.
Yeah, what is that about? That's the too soon problem for sure, right?
Yeah, they just keep doing that. It's like, and there's games that...
Yeah, they should just make a TV show.
They should just make it into a TV show. I'm sure it'll be a hit. I'm sure the second season won't suck. Just kidding.
Oh,
I don't know. I saw the first episode of the second season last night. I wasn't that impressed, but yeah, I'm tired of that. Like, it's like when it's the remastering and the adapting that they're always doing to try and squeeze more money out of a franchise. I get the urge and why it's there, and they probably won't stop doing it. But it's like they made an Uncharted movie. You guys, I don't know if you guys played Uncharted. It's a movie in itself. It's a cinematic experience. Watch it. Watch somebody play it. Go on YouTube. Watch somebody play it. It's just as enjoyable. It's more enjoyable than the movie, which I have not seen. But right off the bat, when you miscast 2 characters that have a ton of life and a dimension to them, like they did in Uncharted, as badly as they did, by getting Mark Wahlberg to play Sully and Spider-Man to play Nathan Drake, I'm not going to go watch the movie.
He's a child. Get out of here.
I know he's a baby. And
it should have been Brendan Fraser, but like buff Brendan Fraser. Sorry.
It should have been like Brendan Fraser.
If they could get George of the Jungle Brendan Fraser in there, shit.
Yeah, dude, George of the Jungle. They should just make a George of the Jungle video game and movie. Bring it back. I love George of the Jungle. Yeah, I just have a real problem with the remastering thing. They call it remastering, and it's really just reselling, repackaging a game, an experience that they've already done well, and they want to make more money out of it. I get it, but I'm tired of it, and stop doing it.
I think we as consumers have to be comfortable with, to quote the prophet Kylo Ren,
the prophet,
let the past die, kill it if you must, or whatever, right? it's okay for that formative experience you had when you were, 9 years old going to see The Phantom Menace for the first time. It's okay that you recognize that's actually not that good of a movie. I was just a kid, and Natalie Portman was Natalie Portman in front of my eyes, and that's all there is to say about it. You know what I mean? You don't have to re-release or remake Star Wars Episode 1. You don't have to remake Metroid Prime. You did, and you did a fine job, but that didn't need to be done. Because guess what they've done? They just announced that a bunch of GameCube games are going to be coming to the Switch 2 emulation eShop scene. I could have replayed Metroid Prime that way if I just wait, and I still could have had that experience. I don't think it needed the reskin necessarily, but this also kind of broaches a topic that we've done before. Because Jared, I agree with you about freaking Uncharted or The Last of Us or whatever. Mm-hmm. The idea that it needs a movie or it needs a TV show is kind of wild to me. I kind of want things to remain in the medium in which they were originally conceived. Because if that author wanted to write a screenplay and then sell it in Hollywood, they would have done it. If that graphic designer wanted to make a movie and not a video game, they would have tried or done it. Right. I think the medium into which something is born matters, and there's certain idiomatic things about that medium that help create the art. When you want to make a movie, the cinematographer you hire matters, and it informs what the movie kind of comes across as. You pick certain people to be in the cast, and you pick the audio and the Foley and like the soundtrack, and that all shapes the experience so that when Twister comes out, it's freaking Twister, Yeah. If you made Twister the video game, and I bet they did probably, right? For the Super Nintendo or something, I don't know. Like, it'd be pretty dumb probably because it's not the thing. That's not what Twister is. But I don't know. I think for every example I can think of, there's probably an opposite example. The Harry Potter movies I've been watching with my kids lately because they're reading the books. And those are pretty good movies. And, nobody's complaining about the Harry Potter theme park. It probably rocks. I've never been. I'm sure it's cool. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I stick in the mud that way. Letting a certain medium breathe and be its own thing. But,
yeah.
Old man yelling at clouds.
Or just do it right.
Or do it, just do a better friggin' job.
Right. If you're going to make it, like The Last of Us is a good example.
The first season, I think, is really good.
First season is very good, and I
heard as much.
I'm being a little silly with the second season. It's the first episode, and I just was kind of like, I think you're more grumbly because that story, like most stories, you want it to be positive, you want it to like go well, and it's not a happy story. If you guys have seen the story from the game,
right?
It's not a happy story. It's a gritty, brutally, true to life, true to reality kind of thing. But they really did a great job with it, and they're really faithful to the actual game. It's not like they tried to go off script and it's like, no, the guys who wrote the game at Naughty Dog already did a very good job with that game. Right. I don't know if they wrote it or if they adapted it from a book or whatever, but they already did a very good job, and you can tell that the people that were involved in the creation of the show really know about the game, or at least paid close attention to it when they participated in it. And it's like the Uncharted movie is a great example because they clearly did not. Only a complete would play that game and go, who'd be great as Sully? Mark Wahlberg. A complete idiot. They should have been Craig T. Nelson and like Nathan Fillion or something. I don't know what Craig T's doing, but
hey man, only one way to find out. Call his agent. You got to get him in there.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds and that kid that got hit by his own car from Star Trek.
What are you talking about?
The dude who played the guy who played what's his name, Chekhov in the new Star Trek movies. He was like getting his mail one day, and his car just rolled down the hill and killed him. So,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he died, dude. He was really good in the role too.
Wow.
The one that occurred to me that I'm glad that you guys brought this up is the kind of or Jake talked about things staying in the medium that they were created in, right? An example of something that came out recently that I haven't seen, so don't spoil it, is Black Mirror Season 7 just came out. And I have not watched. Have you watched it?
I have seen not every episode of this season, but I think a majority of them. I think there's 6, and I've watched 4, I think. I skipped one that I just kind of had spoiled for me a little bit, and I didn't think it would really speak to me, so I skipped it. But I haven't watched the last one, which is an hour and a half long. It's like a movie. But it is, the ones that I watched are like pretty sick. So.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say about Black Mirror?
Someone is going to try and make that into a video game, and that's so stupid because that show needs to not be touched. It is so good on its own.
You know, they made that interactive like episode or experience of Black Mirror. I never fooled with it because I didn't think that
it's creepy. It's creepy. It's kind of like horror-esque a little bit, you know. Very unsettling.
Some kind of choose your adventure like thing, right? Where like there'll be a stopping point and you have to make a decision or something.
Yes, correct. But like Black Mirror is a perfect example of like, don't try and squeeze more out of that franchise than needs to be. Like, and I'm glad no one's done it yet. You know, they're not trying to, you know, do all that. But like that show is perfectly good on its own as a work of art. Sure. You know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I really enjoy that series. I guess I've seen almost all of them this current season. Like I said, I need to finish up, I guess. But there is, without spoiling anything, I want to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised that one of the episodes has a really sweet ending. And I was like, oh that's nice. I'm glad. Thank you for that.
More of that.
More of that, please. Why not? You know, because one of the other ones that I had watched before, I didn't even watch them in order. Shame on me. But one of the other ones I had watched was a bummer at the end. I was like, oh, yikes. Also because it was so realistic and I could see it actually happening because of corporate culture. Anyway, yeah, Black Mirror kind of rocks, and I like it a lot. While we're on TV shows, by the way, have you guys seen The Righteous Gemstones?
I've watched the first episode, and it's really funny.
Jared, have you checked it out? It's an HBO show?
No, I haven't watched that one.
So it's, your mileage may vary on this one, I don't know, but I think it's pretty brilliant. It is a scathing, satirical sort of critique of mega churches and the like super shady evangelical pastors out there in the world. And so, you know, some of that can be a little grating if you come from a religious background like I do. And I don't know, there's kind of there's an appreciation I have for it all the same, because they're pointing out problems that are real problems, and they're doing a great job, and it's funny. And there's parts of the show that are like really surprising, not only from a like plot twist kind of perspective, but like there'll be a guy where for no apparent reason his dick is out. Okay. I was like, whoa, hey, why is that? That wasn't necessary at all. I don't understand. But they meme on youth pastors, and they meme on like Southern evangelical multi-mansion millionaires, and they meme on all kinds of good stuff. Yeah. And I've been watching that show lately. I'm a little over halfway through season 1. I'm going to try to keep watching it. Just while we're on the topic of TV shows, I think it's a good one.
Walton Goggins and Danny McBride.
Yes,
funny
dude.
guys.
And
John Goodman.
Big Lebowski. John Goodman, thank you. I can't believe I forgot his name. John Goodman is such a treasure. I love that man. Ever since Big Lebowski, I've loved that guy. And they do a really slick like de-aging for like a flashback with him, and you don't really notice it. He just looks like a younger version of John Goodman. It's really cool. Wow.
A fatter version of John Goodman.
Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick little honorable mention for you. Little Righteous Gemstones. Well, I think that's going to do it. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input on Oblivion. Godspeed as you seek to close the gate of Oblivion or whatever.
Kind of.
Close shut the jaws of Oblivion is what we were told to do by Patrick Stewart in the opening monologue, actually. So
thank you. Pardon me. The jaws of Oblivion. Close them right up. Sew them shut. You tell those rats who's boss, Jared. Ladies and gentlemen, get in those comments, all right? Share the show. Love the show. Subscribe to the show. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, @3GrassTouchers. Let us know what you think of Oblivion. Do you want to see things remastered? Do you hate seeing things remastered? I want to know. The world needs to hear your opinions right down there in the comments and in the review section of the podcast. Until next time, get out there and touch